Alright, welcome back to some more Explorers of Darkness. Last time we went through the first half of Brine Cave, now it's time for the second half, and this dungeon theme to me, like, I don't know why, this dungeon theme, this playing right now, resonates with me on, like, a very emotional level. And I think it's because, like I was saying last time, Brine Cave is, like, you know, the final mainland thing you do, if that makes sense, before progressing with the game. And what that means is Deep Brine Cave right here, this is literally the very last dungeon in the entire game before you're officially in the end game, and you're in, like, the final stretch of dungeons where you're away from home and there's no more turning back. So this is really, like, you know, the penultimate adventure, really, if that makes sense, you know. This is the last time that we're gonna be out with the guild exploring, and, you know, it's the calm before the storm, really, right? So this dungeon just feels so strange to me. I'm not sure I can put it into words, but very interesting. And again, this dungeon theme, given that context that, you know, this is kind of like the calm before the storm and like that last adventure you're gonna go on, I don't know why, the dungeon theme just really heavily resonates with me when that context is added. You know, it's very, I don't know, it's hard to put into words, but it's a very special moment for me in this game, I suppose. What's not really special is this dungeon, to be honest, because again, like, what TM is this? What if I don't care. Like the first half of Brine Cave, this one's really not noteworthy. There's like a few more Pokemon that spawn here, although like... Oh, that hurt. Pretty much all of the Pokemon that spawn here also spawn in the other myriad water dungeons that appear in the post-game, so like... Nothing really to say here. I want to say the only example I can think of a Pokemon really unique to here is probably like... I think like Dragonair. Oh shit. Nah, I'm not really bothered by getting put to sleep, there's no enemies. Now, I want to say Dragonair is like one of, if not the only Pokemon that appears where it's most convenient to get it here. At least that was my experience. We may or may not see Dragonair as we go through, I don't know. There was a few Pokemon on the first half of the dungeon we ended up just never seeing because we just sped through so quick. And hey, look, there it is, there's Dragonair. I don't remember what moves it has. I think it has Aqua Tail at this point, which is a bit concerning, but... we can just put it down pretty quickly before it becomes a problem, so not a big deal. Oh, Screech, that's really bad. I've talked about Screech before, like a long time ago at this point, and yeah, Screech, threatening status debuff, because of how hard it just tanks your attack, or, you know, defense. And hey, there you go. Deep Brine Cave already done. Very, very short dungeon. In fact, that took literally like 2 minutes. Easy stuff. Anyway, let's get on with the serious shit. Oh, Quab. There they go. The second time they've all been laid the absolute fuck out, by the way. Dumbasses. Who is we? I don't know why Chico, like, is speaking French all of a sudden. I don't know what this we bullshit is all about. Because I can walk past these stupid losers perfectly fine and never think about them again. I get what they're doing here. They want to do the thing that Gengar does in Rescue Team, right? Where he's like, I mentioned this a few episodes ago, where you're like dead for a few minutes and Gengar's dragging you around and he's like, oh, I'm gonna bring you to hell. Oops, I took a wrong turn. Haha, I guess I'll just leave you here. Wink. And it turns out, no, he was actually just bringing you to safety because, you know, he's had a change of heart. They're trying to do that here. But Skuntank and the other two are not nearly as important or compelling as Gengar at all. So I feel like it doesn't really work. And their only real reason for trying to be nice to you in this final moment is that because you know, you pitied them, basically? No, I don't like these three at all, man. They should have stopped appearing by the expedition. I've already said that, though. I also want to point out, this is the very final time Team Skull appears on screen at all for the rest. Not even on screen. This is the last time they appear or are mentioned for the rest of the entire game, by the way. They also had to do, like, you know, if it wasn't apparent from the previous scene that they are having a change of heart, they had to spell it out in case you're too dumb to realize it, you know? It was very out of character for these three to talk like that. Whatever, there they go. No more Team Skull, we never have to think about them again. My official headcanon, well, it's not really official if it's a headcanon, but my headcanon will always be that they just straight up die there, because they never appear ever again after this, and are never mentioned again. Like, no, they die in this cave. And, you know, nothing of value was really lost. And I'd already said it several times, I really wish that they had had their whole characters send off a lot sooner in the game. For them to still appear at all after the entire future segment is just, like... It feels like at that point they're just wasting screen time for the sake of it. Like, if that whole section wasn't there, like... Honestly, they're only really even here just to get Chatot to just run straight ahead like this and not be with you for the second half of the dungeon. That really feels like the only reason Team Skull appears here. I don't like it. It's pointless. Oh shit. This art spread was always so strange to me, because it looks good, but it always looked like notably a different art style from the other, like, sprite spreads that appear in the game like this. The one where Chatot was looking up. This boss is probably gonna be a bitch, to be honest. Oh my god. Chatot fucking tanked that. Prized recruits. No, I'm still not over what you said, you know, that other time, where you refused to believe us, and then you refused to be humble about refusing to believe us, you sack of shit. No. And also, you just jobbed, because you just fell for the same trick twice. Like, no, I don't forgive you for that, Chatot. Fuck you. No, I'm not gonna get hung up on that. Anyway, this fight, I honestly should have prepared a little better. First of all, our spawning position is bad, because we don't have direct line of sight with any of them. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna back off a little bit. I kind of really preferred... I would have preferred that Kabutops would be the one to come over here, but let's just chuck this Sleep Seed. And then it fucking missed, god damn it. Okay, well, didn't matter anyway. Let's see, Xi Seed on Kabutops. Okay, hopefully, Chico can just quickly take out that Omastar. Yeah, easy, okay. Go retrieve that Sleep Seed. And now we can pretty much just beat the shit out of Kabutops at our leisure, really. Got a lot of health, though. Oh my lord. Okay, easy. I thought that would be a lot more of a doozy, but no. Chico kind of just completely destroyed all three of them single-handedly. Holy shit, Konopawa. Ai! Chico-sama! Tasukete! Ai! Yeah, get the fuck out of here. It feels wrong to hate on Chatot too hard for this, because this is, like, you know, the one time he genuinely does something to, like, save you, and he even acknowledges you as, like, his prized recruits, but, again, I, like, that whole scene where you come back from the future and he doesn't believe you just leaves such a sour taste in my mouth, mostly just because of the fact that he has to be, like, coerced into believing you, and he can't even be honest about that. And, hey, oh, yeah, Grovile's here, by the way. Like I said, imagine being such a jobber like Chatot that you fall for the same trick twice, bro, like, come on. I guess at least it was like a noble sacrifice where he tried to save us, you know? Now, I'm probably hating way too hard for this point. We have orange berries, bro. Just eat up. Rip chat out. Oh, we gotta keep going. Like I said, this was it, the final outing with the guild. Now, the last time we're gonna see them, unfortunately, before the end of the game. Because they gotta go back to the guild and bring chat out back. This team would have a lot more emotional weight, I feel like, if any of the guild members had more personality, but... there they go. The final farewell. No more Wigglytuff's guild. This is officially the point where, like, actually, for real, I seriously mean it, even though I've said it 100 times. This time, for real, we're finally in the end game. I mean it this time. Still surprised that Grovyle managed to collect all the time gears, and again, what has been, like, under a week, maybe, like, 4 or 5 days. Fucking booked it across, like, the entire continent in that time. I'm impressed. We were not in there for that long, by the way. But whatever. Wow, it's the little background we saw in the opening when we get the title drop after Beach Cave. Wow, it's finally come full circle. And I guess, you know, Brine Cave being north of the beach, I guess the implication here is that the relic fragment, you know, got separated from the wall and then washed up all the way into the shore of the beach, and I guess that's implied that's how Chico ended up finding it, which is a nice little touch. It's not something they ever explicitly say, but you can, you know, it can be implied. Wow. Re-enter is Lapras. I'm exceptional, wow. Lapras is always beneficial. Yeah, that was a little forced, but whatever. Good stuff, wow. Chapter 19. We're almost at the end. I should probably stop reiterating that, because I've said that about a dozen fucking times at this point, but whatever. Also, I guess we do actually get one more scene of the guild. I did not remember this. And, you know, for having life-threatening injuries, you know, I guess he'll feel better by tomorrow. That's pretty efficient. I mean, you know, we have Oran Berries and Reviver Seeds in this world, so I guess I shouldn't be surprised. I really, really like this scene, by the way, where we're hearing the backstory of what happened to Wigglytuff and Chatot at Brine Cave, but I really like the way they tell it, where it's both Lapras and Wigglytuff telling the story to the two separate groups, and it like switches back and forth between their perspective, like, oh, that's so cool. I don't know if I've ever seen another story do a scene like this. I'm like, surely it's been done somewhere, but it's just such a cool and unique little way that they tell this backstory. It's like, oh, it's so memorable. I say it as I was like, oh yeah, I forgot we see them again here. Ignore me saying that. It's a really good, really, really good moment. That's all I can say. Also, I forgot the Lapras that appears here is supposed to be a man, although, I mean, Lapras is a pretty, like, feminine-looking Pokemon, I feel like, with the eye shape. Also, I gotta say, Grovyle looks extremely fucking weird in this scene, because your player and partner, they just use their, like, looking up left sprite, because, obviously, you know, it could be any of the starter Pokemon there. They're not gonna draw a unique thing for every one of them, so they just recycle some sprites. But Grovyle does have his own unique sprite that they drew just for the scene where he's on Lapras' back, and I think from that angle he just looks stupid. He hit the Hidden Land in the gap in time, as one does, you know. Not really sure how you go about doing that. Well, actually, you know what, no. Dialga is, you know, the time control deity motherfucker. I'm sure he could probably figure that out. The Relic Fragment chose Chico because you guys are all jobbers. And Chico is actually important, you know? Wow. Big shit revealed this time. But I think that's where we're gonna call it for this time. I apologize if the past, like, 2 or 3 episodes have been very cutscene heavy and not much gameplay, but that's, you know, kind of just the point of the game that we're at, is, like I said, all the story bits are, like, coming together and being revealed, and everything is being, you know, like, coming full circle and stuff. So naturally there's a lot of dialogue and explaining and shit, and cutscenes. There's not much gameplay, relatively speaking. Still disappointed that Brine Cave and its follow-up are, like, less than 20 floors total, but whatever. That's where we're gonna call it for this time, so I will see you in the next time when we discover the Hidden Land, so we'll see you then.